interesting, having this commons space full of grown-ups. I love it. Good evening, everyone. I'm Allison Mizuguchi, the principal here at the high school, and along with some colleagues of mine whom I will introduce in just a moment, it is such an overwhelming joy to have you here this evening to learn about the high school and to give us the opportunity to wholeheartedly welcome you to our community. I'm actually feeling kind of overwhelmed right now. I've had a couple of these moments recently. The first, I had a very emotional moment during Band Fest and a string jam just a couple of weeks ago. For those of you who also were able to join those moments of just people, right, in celebration and students coming together and enjoying each other's company and skills and gifts. And this is another one of those moments. So we are delighted to have you all here. We've been unable to welcome parents into the building with this event since 2019. And so if you can imagine, and maybe you were the parent of a rising ninth grader during the last couple of years, having to undergo this transition and learn about the high school on Zoom, and not being able to step into the building. So as my colleagues and I were really thinking about this evening, we thought, let's make this a fun celebration of what the high school is all about. We're not going to sort of sit in rows and be all formal. We're going to sit together. We're going to learn about this space, our programs, the people here. We're going to send you on tours and have you explore every crevice of this building and get you just acclimated to the energy here and to the work that we do with your students. So welcome. What we wanted to do first is to maximize the opportunity here for folks who are sort of sitting in groups. And by the way, let me just explain this space for those of you, and how many of you are first-time high school, almost high school parents? So a very, very special welcome to all of you. And how many of you became high school parents during COVID? And so you actually didn't have the chance to come. So a very special welcome to all of you as well. This is called the Commons, which is one of the sort of hubs of our high school community. This is where students obviously have lunch, but when they are not scheduled for classes, they're also here chatting together, they're grabbing a snack, they're connecting with one another. It's a very sort of collegiate model, and so it's not a cafeteria, it's a commons. It's sort of a place where students come together, and it's lovely to have you here. What we'd like to do is to have you all just have a chance to connect with each other as well. So for the next minute or two, could you introduce yourself to people at or near your table? You probably are like the students where you found your friends and you sat with them and you're not sitting next to people you don't know. But if you just turn to somebody near you whom you don't necessarily know, introduce yourself. You're going to be on this journey together for the next 4 years. And then, describe some of your hopes and dreams for your child and what's exciting and what's a little nerve-wracking. And hopefully some of those questions that you might have right now about being in high school and your students' experience will be answered tonight. Tonight, I want to just remind all of you, you are the parents of 8th graders yet. And they're not 9th graders yet. There's a whole lot of 8th grade ahead of them and a whole lot of joyous celebrations. And at the same time, we want to make sure that you have a sense of who we are and obviously answer your kind of larger questions. We'll have another opportunity to convene a fall when you are officially 9th grade parents. We have a whole other evening called 9th grade parents tonight, where we'll answer some more of your questions, take a deeper dive kind of into our support structures, our programs, those kinds of things, and give you a chance also to talk to some students at that point as well. So our goal tonight, I'm going to just kind of give you a broad overview. And for those of you in the back, so we're just winging it here. I know you can't see this. We're going to send up the slides, and we're fortunate enough to have Wacom here that's recording this first portion of the evening for you. We're going to talk about sort of who we are in terms of our mission, in terms of our values, what we believe in here as far as who your students, how we want to support your students as learners and citizens of the world. We're going to talk about some of the support structures as far as the transition goes, and then give you an opportunity to take tours and to meet people. So I want to do some quick introductions, but sort of who we are. Much of who we are, so much of who we are, is the people and the incredible colleagues that I have an opportunity to work with. I've been here for over 20 years. I started as a teacher. I was assistant principal for a number of years, and this is my 8th and 9th year as principal. I have an opportunity to learn and grow from incredible, dedicated colleagues every day. Some of them are here, so I'll just do a quick introduction, and you will have an opportunity to meet these people later in the evening when we kind of restructure this format here. To my right are my comrades in arms, Laura Cole, who is the assistant principal for the rising 9th graders. So she will sort of be your point person in terms of the assistant principal role, and Mr. Sean Gass, who is the assistant principal of the other 2 grades, so next year will be 10th and 12th graders. We're also lucky enough here to have tonight a large portion of our department head team, which is really the cabinet of leadership that runs the school and makes really important decisions about how we want to provide an exceptional experience for your students. You will have an opportunity to meet them later tonight. If you guys could just raise your hands and we'll get more specific. Our department chairs are here tonight. We also have all of our counseling staff is here tonight. So I think you're here. Maybe you're already gone to, okay, they're over there. So we have our whole counseling department. Your students, and we'll talk about this in a minute, will be matched with a counselor for all 4 years who will support them soup to nuts throughout their high school experience, and they're all here tonight as well. We also have a fleet of student leaders who will be taking you on tours and answering questions this evening. So, how this is going to work is we're going to sort of talk at you for about 15 minutes or so. Laura, Sean, and I will sort of share the mic, give you a broad overview of our mission, of how we do things here. Then we'll give you the opportunity at about 7:30 to go on tours with the student leaders. We will set up stations in this space for the different academic departments. So if you have a particular question for our social studies department chair, for example, you'll have an opportunity to talk to Mr. Schneer about the curriculum, those kinds of things. So those will be set up here while you're on tour, so you can either go on a tour or forgo the tour and speak with the department chairs. But either way, they will be set up here until 8:30, okay? During your tour, I also want to highlight in the other space, so this is the north building. In the south building, in the media center, in the library, we will have our library center director will be there, our entire counseling staff, and other folks are kind of sprinkled throughout the building whom you can meet along your tour. Okay, ready? Let's do this. So we'll sort of begin with this, our high school mission statement, which is, it strives to sort of capture in words what we try to do every day for your kids. It also was adopted as the district's mission statement. We're really about personal and civic responsibility. We want students to love learning. We want them to be empathic individuals who care and learn from one another. At its core, our mission is to provide rigorous and stimulating academic environment that promotes the acquisition of knowledge and skills. And we'll talk about sort of this balance of rigor and support. Yet, we deem it equally important to nurture self-confident, collaborative, and conscientious individuals, and we strive to create a climate where risk-taking is safeguarded. That's actually my favorite part of the mission statement. Risk-taking is safeguarded. This is where we want your students to take risks and to make mistakes and try new things. Where open expression is encouraged and free association is protected. Hopefully, those words are embodied and represented in your students' experiences here at the high school. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Laura Cole, who's going to talk about our efforts here related to diversity and inclusion.
Hi everyone, I am Laura Cole. I'm really excited to meet all of you. I'm excited to spend the next 4 years with you and your students as they make their way into their young adulthood. We really wanted to highlight the work that our schools do district's Antiracist Resolution. More so, I'd like everyone to focus on what our students are doing here on campus. And so we listed some of the ways that our students have really taken this anti-racist resolution and started to use their own voices here on our campus. It's making a huge difference. And we really encourage our students to get involved this way. And some of those are our Asian American Affinity Group, our Power Club, our Women's Empowerment Club, the Muslim Student Association, our Alliance, Lunch Bunch. Mr. Gass and I run an admin advisory where we meet with students in mixed grade and we ask them questions about the community. And the two below are two new initiatives that will start next year with your ninth graders, which are our ADL Peer Leadership Program, along with the Leadership Coalition. And there's going to be a ton of information coming out about the bottom two, so we wanted to put them on there just so you could get a sense of that. We are a MECO district, we are a proud MECO district, so just some of the things that we have for our students here, for our MECO students would be our Cultural Identity Group Seminar. There is an academic dean, and who's also the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Belonging, which is Caroline Hahn, and our MECO coordinator is Mark Lido. In the classroom, our department heads are working hard in looking through curriculum, working in some of the EDL programming, along with just doing a review of all of the things that we do within the classroom around instruction as well. And we just wanted to highlight some of this as we know it's a large part of our community. I'm going to bring up somebody else who's super important. This is Mary Beth Sacramone. She's going to say no. She is the director of counseling here, who's going to talk to you a little bit about kind of what's happening right now, because we are starting the transition. We're shepherding about 200 seniors out and bringing 200 kids in, but we have started, so I'm going to hand it on over to Mary Beth.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am truly honored to be here to welcome you all, but also to be part of this amazing team. You're coming into a wonderful school with wonderful leadership, so we look forward to meeting all of your students. So I'm talking a little bit about the transition to the high school, which, as Laura said, is already beginning. So we are in conversations with the counselors at the middle school, with the teachers at the middle school through their, what are they called now? Cluster groups. So we're constantly learning about your students already. You know that you're also in the midst of some scheduling processes, not issues. Issues happen in the summer when you're not worried about it. We also next week will be attending every math class at the middle school, that we meaning the counseling department, in order to talk about the high school. And with us we bring wonderful peer leaders to talk about their experience at the high school. And that day is really fun for us, but it's also really fun for your kids because they don't really listen to us, but they really listen to the students. So they get that bird's eye view from the students learning about the high school and the great things about it. The other piece of our transition includes some summer outreach to all ninth graders and all new students, if there's some parents and guardians and new students here too. And so our peer leadership groups will first ask you for the email addresses or cell phone numbers of your students, and we will actually try and have students reach out to your students just to say hello. Those upperclassmen students are here to answer questions for your students, and that happens throughout the fall especially. In addition to that, we have what's called a ninth grade orientation, which is called Connections Day, and that is on August 31st this year. And that Connections Day will be all ninth graders, incoming ninth graders, your sons, daughters, and children. And they will come to the high school, do tours, they'll meet their advisors, which we'll talk about in a little bit. They'll meet counselors here, and they really get a feeling for what the building is like at that time. They're not just visitors like they are here on Stepover Day, which happens also this coming spring. So that is a part of the conversation now. Also is when is Stepover Day. I think it depends upon if we have another snow day. I don't know, April, sometimes it snows, so we never know. But Stepover Day probably will be around June 15th through 16th when we have exams here at the high school. And that Stepover Day is the entire 8th grade comes over to the high school, and they do tours, they meet students, they see what's happening, and they look at this beautiful building and say, wow, I can't wait to get there. Articulation meetings is the other piece of our transition, and what that means again is we are constantly talking with counselors there and with teachers there about your students as learners, about your students as people, and what kinds of things they're active about, what kinds of things maybe are strengths and weaknesses for us to look out for. And that information we hold tight and get to know our students as counselors right off the bat. One of the things that's a little bit different here at the high school for the counseling department is that we are not school psychologists. We are just here as counselors for your students, and we follow them for all 4 years. Just like the middle school psychologists do there, but we often hear from the middle school that students don't always go to the school psychologist. They're more attached to their tag groups and to their teachers and their clusters and things like that. So here at the high school, we make sure that we get to know students really early through our 9th grade seminar program. And is that on another slide, or is that here now?
We can go there. We'll go to the next slide.
Okay, so I think I'm doing too much. I'll be quiet now.
You can go next slide. Yeah, got it. Oh, this
I didn't realize
She
there's
did two
slides
slides.
behind me. I'm just watching these.
All right. So just over the school year, what are all things that your 9th grader will experience? So 9th grade seminar, which is run by their counselor, they'll get to meet their counselor, they'll get time with me, they get time with our academic center coordinator, they get time with our librarian, and then they will slide into semester 2 with some more supportive seminar programming. As Mary Beth was saying, every student is a school counselor. Students here also are placed in advisories by grade. So every day, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, your student will be in advisory for 7 minutes with the same adult, the same peers. There's activities that they do. There's also a lot of nuts and bolts things that happen, class meetings, scheduling, things like that. Every 9th grader will enter with study hall. In order to get free blocks, you have to meet a certain academic requirement. So first semester, all 9th graders will be assigned to study hall, where that's really training them for how you're going to use your free time when you get that second semester, if you earn it. Peer mentors, they're back there. Can you guys just wave hi? This is a small group of our peer mentors. They're an amazing group of students who you can email and say, we need you, and they will be there the next day. So they are going to, as Mary Beth said, reach out to your student over the summer. They're going to run the tours. They're going to get to know those students. A lot of those students are also a part of a program that I'm going to have Mr. Gass introduce in a second. And then all 9th graders will have the ability to have access to the academic center if they feel like they need some more support. And that's something they'll work with their counselor on. That's something you can contact the counselor about and talk to them. Like, do you think my student needs a little bit more help during this free time? But there's a program I'm going to have Mr. Gass come over and talk about, and it's our Summer Bridge program.
Hi, everybody. I want to echo, I'm also very honored to be here and meet all of you for the first time. Some of you not for the first time, but really excited to get to know your kids. I also wanted to mention our Summer Bridge program. This is a program that we started last year as we entered this unprecedented summer where we had students in 8th grade and students in 9th grade who had such interrupted schooling during the pandemic that we created a Summer Bridge program between 8th and 9th grade and between 9th and 10th grade. We plan to continue that this year. We haven't sent out information because we're still waiting on final word of funding and budgeting and those kinds of things right now. But that summer program is a really, really exciting 1-week program where you get to know some teachers here at this school. You get to know a lot of peer mentors, and the peer mentors are a huge part of that program. They also have a bunch of fun, and it's all run by Miss Lima, Amy Lima. Do you want to raise your hand, Amy, just so people can... There she is. All right, so that's the Summer Bridge program. Please look out for more definitive information about that, and we encourage you, as soon as that comes out, to register as soon as possible. It is during the week of August 14th to the 19th is what we're looking at, so if you are already making summer plans, and you can keep that week open, maybe keep it open for a couple more weeks until we get the details out. All right. So I'm going to talk to you briefly about the day in the life of a high school student. And when we were preparing this presentation, Ms. Cole said to me, "This is boring, don't tell them about this. This is like just logistical junk." But I said, you know what? Like, when you're a new parent in a new school, sometimes you need that logistical junk because it just gives you a sense of safety and security. Like, now you know where your kids are going to eat lunch. Like, that to me kind of feels nice when I went to my kids' cafeteria for the first time. This is where your children will be eating lunch. So the other things that we want to make sure you know is that our schedule follows an 8-day cycle. So we cycle through periods over a course of 8 days. And the reason for that is that periods get to meet in different times of the day. You probably know your kids are actually different human beings at different times of the day. So we like to see them in those different forms as well, and we like to make sure that we get an even spread of kids. Our ninth graders definitely have to figure this out. It's a very common sight to see wandering ninth graders in the first couple days of school, and we gently shuttle them towards wherever they're supposed to be. But they do figure it out pretty quickly. I just wanted to make sure that you had an image of what that schedule looks like. It does allow your kids to fit a lot of classes into their day. Most kids have 6 classes. Some kids can fit in 7, but most kids get 6 classes into their schedule. There are 6 periods that meet in a day. Not every class would meet every day. All right, let's see. Okay, the other thing I wanted to tell you about is every year we talk to our ninth graders about their experience in the high school and kind of how it goes every year. And these are some solid themes that we hear every single year, so we want to make sure that you are aware of these. When kids come to the high school, they report these things about their transition. One thing they report is that there is increased freedom and independence in the high school. That freedom and independence comes in the form of some free periods sometimes, some study halls. It also comes in the form of different ways that teachers are assigning work, some more free times and some more high pressure times. But they have a lot more freedom and independence than they did in the middle school. That's a wonderful thing, and it's also a really scary thing, because it means that they have to start figuring out how to manage that freedom and independence. And we want to make sure that they learn how to make good choices about their free time. They also report increased academic rigor. Definitely there are way more challenging courses at the high school, especially as they go on into their 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years. But they do report that there's increased academic rigor. So that's one of the reasons that we keep them in study hall in the beginning of the year, to make sure that they have that extra support. With that academic rigor, we do provide a lot of extra support. The person who just raised her hand in the back, Ms. Lima, she is our academic center coordinator as well, and provides a ton of tutoring and support for students. The other thing that students report to us is that they are required to have a lot more self-advocacy and take some initiative in their education once they are brought to high school, once they are in high school. We do expect students to make appointments with teachers, to be comfortable talking with their teachers, and their teachers really try to foster those relationships and open those lines of communication so that students understand that when they're having trouble with something, or they need to get just a little bit of extra help or a little bit of advice on something, they can go and talk with those teachers. All right, I'm going to hand this back over to Ms. Simon.
Thank you. I'll continue what I was saying before I got the hook. Sorry. I'll stick to the slide now. So as counselors, we meet your students early on, and starting with, again, next week in the math classes. And as I was saying, it's a little bit different. We see your students every year, and we see them in our office a lot. And we want to encourage your students to come and see us a lot, because we want to get to know them, to support them in this transition from 8th grade to 9th grade, then from 9th grade to 10th grade, and so on. And eventually, from senior year into the college years, the employment years, the military years, whatever it is that future plan is in the future. So in order for us to help them through all those transitions, we need to get to know them. So we do that through our seminars, which we have already talked a little bit about, and from individual meetings, and from also meetings with you. One of the homework assignments that we give at our Connections Day and our high meetings in the fall is we want to hear from you about your student as well. We want to know their ins and outs so that we can get to know them and know what questions to ask them or to riddle them with. So we look forward to meeting with the students, and we want you to know that we are here for you as well as with your family. Call us if something's going on. Let us know if your student is having a difficult time transitioning. Let us know if they're having a difficult time in a classroom. If they can't come and see us on their own. We want them to come and see us on their own, and that's how we get to know them each and every year and through every meeting we have. And again, the seminars that we have are in small groups, so we start to get to know our students in that respect too, if we have everyone in our own groups. If there's a personal matter to discuss, something going on in their friendship life or in their life at home, you can share that with us confidentially. We can take, give a pass-through student or go and grab a student from the Commons, or from study hall, and we will talk with that student and try and help them through those different things. eventually, we hope that they will begin to trust us really early on because we get to know them early, so that they can come to see us when anything's happening for them or perhaps for some of their friends, family members that they might be worried about. We are always talking to students about helping each other and caring for each other and being healthy and finding balance here at the high school. It's a very busy place between extracurriculars and classes and things like that, and we want to make sure that our students get to know us and we can help them to find that balance and to really be healthy in every way, emotionally, physically, mentally, things like that. You can also call the counselor when you have no idea who to call. Just give us a call and we'll probably connect you with someone else in the high school, someone in the main office, an assistant principal, things like that. So we tend to be kind of the be-all and end-all of, like, if I don't know the question or don't know the answer, we're going to try and find the counselor. Our office, as you'll see on the tours, is right in the corner here. It's next to the health office. We're also connected to the administrator's office. So we all really work fully as a team together in getting to know you and your students and your families. Who's next? Sean?
So just briefly, there are lots of other people that will be working with your students as well. To highlight, probably the most important people that will be working with your students are their teachers, who they will get to know very well and they'll see every day. But we also want to make sure that you understand that everyone is here to work with you and work with your students, and communication for us is the name of the game. So contacting teachers is really important. Contacting the main office around attendance, other things like that. The department heads are really great points of contact, especially when it comes time to course selection, or if there's kind of a question that you have about overall curriculum. The department heads are amazing people to get in touch with. And then the administration, as we mentioned before, each of the assistant principals is sort of attached to a grade level, and we follow that grade level up through, but we also work very closely as a team. So if Laura's not here and doesn't take your call, then your call will come to me or go to Allison. All right.
Do you want to do this slide too?
Yeah, so this is, I've only been at Wayland High School for 3 years. If any student at Wayland High School tells me they're bored and they have nothing to do, I think it's like the most amazing. I've never met anybody who said it. We have so many things that are going on at the school. There's so many things to take part in. It's really an exciting place to be, and it's not just during the school day and not just during classes. So we have, actually, this slide is slightly outdated because the new club started last week. We have more than 50 clubs that are active at school and meeting on a regular basis. Some of my favorite big ones, we have a dodgeball club that meets one lunch every rotation, and kids get to go in and really go at it during lunch for dodgeball. We have student associations, we have advocacy clubs, we have community service clubs, we have a chess club, we have a debate team, we have mock trial. Just an amazing array of things for kids to get involved in. The other thing is that we have a ton of opportunities for student leadership. There's class e-boards, there's student council, SAD, MVP. You're going to hear about many more of these opportunities over the next few months and over the next few years, of course, as well. There are 63 sports teams to choose from here. I was amazed when I saw that. I was like, I don't understand how we can fit 63 sports into a school in here, but we do. Opportunities to do everything from ultimate frisbee, JV basketball, crew, sailing, it doesn't matter. Everything is available, mostly. We also have amazing fine arts and music opportunities. You may hear some of them going on in the background. Our orchestra is currently rehearsing. They all were very surprised when they walked in tonight for rehearsal and saw all of you here. They got a little freaked out. But there are opportunities for orchestra, there's choral, there's drama. Our drama department is actually in the middle of the Massachusetts competition right now. If you haven't seen Horse Girls yet, don't take your children, maybe come by yourself this weekend. I hear it's PG-16, I think was the director's. Yeah. Or take your children, see what they think. And then we also have a lot of opportunities for kids to really get their voices out there through our student media outlets, through WSPN. I've heard that WSPN is the first place to go for news in Wayland, even before like the official news sources. But and I think there's just so many things here. I could keep going and going, but I think there's probably some tours that are coming up soon, right? All right.
So thrilled you're putting up the fun for WSPN. Hi, I'm Mary Barber. I'm the technology specialist here at the Wayland High School. I'm also the co-journalism and WSPN advisor. And I love all the pictures in the slide. Anyway, you're probably wondering when your child, or at least they're probably wondering when the distribute them on student orientation. So when they come to the 9th grade student orientation, that's when we'll give them their laptop. You can plan on paying the maintenance fee around $70, $75. And all of this information will be available to you on the Wayland High School website starting August 1st. Okay, so we tweak everything. We have all the forms. You will fill out all the forms electronically through the same thing that you sign up for your sports. What is it called? People. Family ID. Sorry. And so it makes it really simple. So we get rid of all that paper and just sign it to Family ID. We get it all done, and then everything will be ready for them to get it student orientation day.
All right, great. So before I send you on your tours, I wanted to match names with faces for those of you who are coming this evening with specific questions for some of our leadership team, that kind of thing, and also to alert you to future opportunities to chat with folks that you might want to chat with during this transition. So this is a list of our high school leadership team. Again, we'll send up this slide, and if you click on it, it goes right to their email if you had a question to ask any of these people. This is our cabinet. This is sort of the backbone of our institution here. Heath Rollins is our athletic director. For those students who are involved in athletics, there will be an introductory athletics night before the end of this school year, particularly for rising ninth graders. So we'll be sure to shoot out that information related to athletics. So he's not able to be here tonight. Our English department chair, Brian Keeney, is here, and he will be in the commons here after your tour. You'll see different orange signs, and one of them says English, and he will be stationed there if you have any questions for Brian. Our fine arts department chair is conducting the orchestra, Susan Memoli, so she will not be available to answer your questions, but is always available online or able to chat with you at another time. You've met Mary Beth Sacramone. She and her counseling team, again, will be in the library in the South Building for further conversation this evening. Our history and business department chair, Mr. Dave Schmier, is here in the blue shirt. He will be here in the comments to answer any questions, again, at one of those stations. You just met Mary Barber, our instructional technology specialist, who will also be here in the comments for any questions. Jennifer McGillis is our Library Media Center Director. She will be in the library, available to you to answer any questions. Barbara Coughlin is our Math Department Chair, who's raising her hand, and she will stay here in the comments and be available for your questions. Our MEPCO coordinator, Mr. Mark Lydell, is not here tonight. There are other family orientation evenings that are happening this spring for Boston resident families. Ken Ryda, our Science Department Chair, will be also stationed here in the comments should you have any questions. Our Special Education Department Chair, Amanda White, is not here tonight. However, she and the 8th grade Special Education Chair at the middle school, Melissa McDonald, will be co-hosting a morning meeting, actually, April 28th, and information is being sent directly to 8th grade families related to that meeting. Scott Parsagian is our Wellness Director, K-12. He is unable to be here tonight. In his stead, we're lucky to have Mr. John Berry, another one of our wellness teachers, high school graduate, et cetera, who is here to answer any questions you have about our wellness curriculum. Our World Language Department Chair is Nicole Haddouse. She's actually on maternity leave right now, and in her stead we have Jill Swenson, one of our veteran Spanish teachers, who will be here in the comments should you have any questions about our World Language program. And then again, Sean and Laura and I will be available to answer any questions here in the comments, and we may be leading a tour or two as well. We'll see how the numbers work out. Okay? So, can I turn it over to Ms. Cole to direct track?
Okay, so we have student leaders standing at each orange sign. Okay? So if you are interested in taking a tour, please feel free to find a tour guide, a lovely tour guide, hopefully maybe 9 to 12 in each. Do you not feel pressure to take a tour? I just want to put that out there. Some people are like, I know what the school looks like. And we will start tours now, back in at 8 o'clock. 8:05, we'll all be back in here, and you can ask questions of department heads. As I said, counselors will be on over in the library media center too. Okay?